this is Katie Davis, online editor for DadsDivorce.com. You're watching Dad's Divorce Live. Today we have Heather Biagi, an attorney and assistant team leader with Cordell & Cordell in the St. Louis area, here with us today. We're going to be talking about why divorce lawyers, or those who practice family law, can help with divorce cases. Hi. So Heather, what makes a divorce attorney, or at least an attorney that practices family law and perhaps focuses on fathers' rights and issues, a good choice for perhaps a man or a father who might be seeking a divorce or going to court for, custody issues or anything in that arena?
All right. Anytime you're hiring somebody, you certainly want to make sure that they know the job that they're doing. So I know anytime you hire somebody, whether it's to change a light bulb or to fix your sink, or you're hiring somebody to handle actually seeking custody of your kids, which in my opinion is the most important thing, certainly you want to hire the best of the best, or somebody who has some kind of knowledge and knows that perspective backwards and forwards. So certainly anytime you're going through any kind of family law case, again, probably the worst time in your life, but it's the time when you want to hire the very best of the best, because these are the important things in your life. Your children, getting as much custody and visitation time as you can. Also your property, things you've worked for a long time. You certainly want somebody who's going to know the ropes, know the courthouse, know the judges, those types of things. So hiring somebody that has that perspective, the man's perspective, that knows what the common arguments are going to be made against them, that knows what the common fights are, that knows what assets people are going to strongly advocate for or not strongly advocate for. Again, having somebody who does that day in and day out, it's extremely important. And with property in a divorce, you only get one bite at the apple. So if you don't do it right the first time, you can't come back and relitigate that. So you want to make sure you're getting the very best representation that you can have for that one-shot deal. Now, custody, you can come back. But what you're doing in the first case is perhaps setting a precedent that you don't want to have to then have a mountain to overcome in the future. So hiring an attorney, certainly when you're dealing with a family law case, you definitely want to look for somebody who does primarily family law, or who that makes up a big portion of their practice, because you want somebody who's going to be familiar with not only the pleadings, but the courthouses and the judges and even the opposing counsels and the players that are involved in these cases, so you can kind of make those inside determinations. Also, know what type of client you are. For instance, if your case is very intense and you're someone who needs a lot of information, or you need a lot of communication between your attorney, know what kind of attorney you're hiring. Sometimes it's not just enough to hire somebody who's a family lawyer and who does a lot of family law or practices primarily family law. Sometimes you need someone, whether it be for, again, that level of communication, or if you have a lot of assets, or it's a complicated custody case, or it's a complicated business asset case, you're going to want to hire somebody who has experience in doing that, or has the resources to handle that case in the way that they want. You also need to be, again, I keep hearkening back to the communication level, but you need to hire an attorney who also can adequately manage their caseload. If you have a case that requires 10 hours because it's an intense case of attention per week, are you hiring somebody that's so bogged down with other cases that they can or can't give your case that attention for those 10 hours a week? So knowing the attorney, knowing what their caseload is, attention to detail, I would tell anybody that while the attorney in a family law case is not a miracle worker, in that you're not going to have somebody who's going to walk in there and get you everything that you simply wanted. If you ever feel like your case isn't getting the adequate attention, either questioning that in a polite way, or going out and looking at what other resources or attorneys are out there, I'd certainly tell you that it's important, again, in that initial divorce or custody proceeding, because you want to be comfortable with the person who's handling your case. And you want them to give it the adequate time, because if it's not being paid attention to, or it's not being handled in the way that it can, there are certain timetables running on these cases where you don't want to get to the day of trial and nothing's prepared. So again, looking at all those things, it's not just hiring that named attorney that you may or may not have heard of that's good allegedly at family law. It might be that. They may live up to everything that they say. but it's looking at it from a kind of a broad spectrum to make sure that your attorney is meeting all of your needs, which isn't just great legal strategy, knows family law, knows the players, knows the judges or the judges' styles and techniques, but also is giving you as the client, because you're paying for a valuable service, is giving your attention, giving your case the attention that it needs and giving you the attention that it needs. I can't tell you how many clients I've had where probably within the beginning of the case, I'm as much their counselor, quote unquote, as I am their attorney, just because they need advice from me. It might not be straight up legal advice. It has legal undertones to it, but certainly just talking them kind of through, again, this horrible time in their life. So again, when you're choosing an attorney, it's not just, if they fit in this check mark box and whatnot. It's looking at the attorney as a whole. And certainly you may even hire an attorney within a firm that you may not mesh well with, because we're all people, where there's always personalities in these, and even exploring maybe the option of changing within the firm. Now, that's not what I would advise depending upon what phase you are in your case. But again, instead of having that regret or that buyer's remorse after the case is over, saying, man, I didn't feel comfortable with my attorney and I should have done something, while the case was going on, versus trying to fix something 5 years later, that's certainly something that we don't want to have to see.
So be in a I guess some sense, be picky up front.
Be picky up front, right? And challenge your attorney. And again, by challenge, I don't mean there should be any animosity.
Right.
Challenge your attorney or communicate with your attorney. A lot of clients, what they don't realize is we're not mind readers. So the problem with not being a mind reader, and I wish I was, although sometimes I don't, is that we don't know what you need until you tell us. If you tell us, hey, I need an email from you every day about whatever, we know that. Then we either fulfill that or we don't. If there's stuff out there, your property, for instance, I don't know anything that you have until you tell me. I don't know that there's certain issues out there until you tell me those things. If you're not communicating with me or letting me know what your needs are and what your property or custody requirements or your relationship is with your children, you're my most valuable resource to handle your case. I'm your most valuable resource to finagle the courtrooms and to do the legal strategy and to give you advice. But if you're not communicating with me and giving me that information, then I'm not as effective as I can be on your case.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for speaking with us today, Heather. Again, this has been Dad's Divorce Live with DadsDivorce.com. I'm Katie Davis, online editor. This was Heather Biagi. She's an attorney and assistant team leader with Cordell & Cordell in the St. Louis area. Thanks for watching.